Hello guys, welcome to Online Web Tutor presented by Prophetic Sessions team. I am Sanjay. Now inside this video session guys, we will discuss about left join and right join in MySQL. So inside previous videos, we had seen about the details of joins, how basically we use joins in MySQL and how many types of joins we have that MySQL supports. Now inside MySQL we had seen about the complete details so far about cross join and the inner join. Now inside this video we are going to discuss about left join and the right join. So if we move to the next tab, now what basically MySQL left join clause is. So similar to a inner join, a left join also requires a join predicate. When joining two tables using a left join, the concept of left and right are simply introduced. So simply in the last video, we had seen that how basically we use inner join. Inside inner join, we will pass a join predicate. So in the same way, in left join also, we are going to pass the join predicate. On the behalf of join condition, the rows matches with the table 1 and the table 2 only returns. Let's say that we have two tables like users and movies, what we are seeing so far. Now inside users table, let's say that we have 5 entries and the last entry, let's say user ID 200. But the entry of user ID 200 does not exist inside the movies table. So by using left join, all the columns should return of movies table, but remember we are using left join, so while using that join, actually the return value of all the columns of movies should be null. So let's see about the left join in action. So back to phpMyAdmin. So if we open about these two tables into new two tabs, and inside this table we have 4 entries called user 1, 2, 3 and 4 and their corresponding user ID. So if I check the user ID existence inside this table, now inside this table all the user ID exists like 1, 2, 3 and 4. Let's say that I am to delete this user ID 4 and 3 inside this table. So right now we have only 3 entry called user ID 1, 2 and the 3. The fourth number user ID means from this table does not exist inside this movies table. So how can we use left join to return our values? So if we open the SQL tab into a new tab, so the left join is similar as the inner join what we have seen inside last video. So let's say select, let's say start from something table users as user, let's say alias name, and let's say left join, and let's say TBL movies as movie. Now here we have to provide the join predicate, means in the left join also we have to provide the join condition. So on, let's say user.id. User.id means from the users table this is the ID, so user.id will match with this movie.user ID. So go here, let's say movie.user ID. Now simply we are going to return all the data from users table as well as all the data from this movie table. Now remember here we have used called the left join instead of inner join. So if I press Ctrl Enter, now right here inside this output, as we can see here that user 2 have data inside the second table, user 3 have data inside the second table, so all the matched condition data actually return inside this output. But also inside this output also we can see that the fourth number row does not exist inside the second table. So while returning the value from the movie table, the columns we have but the values are null. So left join simply says that all the matched rows should return, and also the row of the first table if not matches then also it will return, because we are going to use the left join. So inside this query, left join means the left table we have called TBL users. This is as the left table. So the record we have inside this table if not matches with the second table, something with the TBL movies. So all the columns of the first table or the left-handed side of the table should return all the values. But if no record exists inside the second table, then all the values should null. But it also contains the column or attributes of the second column. So this is the concept of left join. Inside this output, the rows inside this users table means user ID 2, 3 and means 1, 2 and 3 have their mutual records inside this table. So all the matched records actually return, and as we know that the fourth number ID does not exist, so it basically also returns. But inside this, the second table contains the null values. So here, what is the difference between left join and the inner join? So while using inner join, we had seen that while using inner join, if no record exists of this first table means that the fourth number ID does not exist inside this table, so inner join is not going to return about any row from this table as well. While using inner join, it only returns about the first, second and the third row. Let's see about in action. So if I copy this query, open SQL in new tab, and let's say that instead of left, if I use inner join and the same condition, so if I press Ctrl Enter, now inside this output, the fourth number row does not exist because the row number 4 has no record inside this TBL movies. But left join says that if we have no data inside these TBL movies, but we want to return all the data from our left table, so that's why it returns this fourth number ID with the null values of the second table. Also, we can understand for one more example. Let's say that inside this movies table, if we are going to insert one more row, so let's say copy, and I'm going to return movie 200 and let's say 100 number user ID. So as we know that the 100 number user ID does not exist inside this table. So if we go to left join and if I copy this query, open SQL tab into a new tab, and let's say that inside this I am to change about the TBL movies as our first table and the TBL users as the second table. Now if I change about the alias name, so this is all about user and the movie. Now if I'm going to press, and before that let's say movie.star and let's say user.star, what basically inside this query is we have made the TBL movies. It will means this is our left table and it will going to compare with the second table at the TBL users on the behalf of that join predicate means the given condition. Now if we run this query, so press Ctrl Enter. Now inside the output, as we can see that the data of the first table means our left-handed data called TBL movies, it returns all the rows. But as we know that the movie 200 has the user ID of 100 does not exist in the users table. So that's why it returned the null values for the second table. So this is left join. Left join basically returns all the data from left-handed table, but it will return the null values for the right-handed table. When the condition matches, then on the behalf of join predicate condition means matched condition, it only returns the data. So in the similar way, we can understand also about the right join. Right join means that it will return all the data from the right table, but if no data matches with the left table, then it will return the null values. So let's see about right join in action. So if I copy this, the same query, open a SQL tab, and remember this time we are going to use about a right join. So only we need to change about, instead of left keyword, we need to write about the right keyword here. Now what basically right join means? Right join means that inside these two tables means TBL movies and the TBL users, In case of left join table movies, we have the left table. So in case of right join table users is our right hand sided table. So while going through this join predicate, it will return all the data from our right join tables. But our right join table does not have a record inside this table, then it will provide the null values for that. So if I press Ctrl Enter, now as we can see inside this output that the table 1 is movies and the table 2 is users, all data are now returned. So inside this right-handed side table called table users. Now as we know that the users table contain the last record, that is fourth number ID, does not exist inside this movies table. So that's why it basically return all the data from this table, means users table, all entries here we have. But in case of movies, the row contained for this fourth number ID contains the null value, because this is a right join. Right join means simply that it will return all the data from right-handed table, and if no data matches with the first table, then it will going to return about the null values. So if suppose we change this query, so copy this query, pasting it here, and let's say that if I want to change about the table names, so cut this syntax, means table user from right join, pasting it here, and if I cut about the movie from here and pasting it here, and all we have to write, let's say user.all and let's say movie.all. Now inside this query, as we know that on the behalf of right join, this is our right table and this is our left table. So while pressing Ctrl Enter, the output returns all the data from this table called TBL movies. But inside this table, if suppose we have some data which does not exist inside this users table, so the same column will be returned with null values. So let's press Ctrl Enter. Now as we can see here inside this output, all the data basically from movies table return. But as we know that this 100 ID does not exist inside the users table. So in case of these column values, we are getting null value. So what basically the difference between left join and the right join? Left join returns all the data from our left table, and on the behalf of right join returns all the data from right table. In case of left join, it will going to return about the null values from the right table if suppose we have no matched data. But in case of right join, it will going to return about the null values from the left table if no data does not exist of the table 2, means right join. So this is guys what basically left join and the right join. So the concept of left join and the right join together is known as outer join in MySQL. So back to slides. Now successfully guys, we had seen about the complete details about going through each query. We had seen about the complete concept of MySQL joins. Inside this MySQL joins, we had seen about the inner join, left join and the right join, and the cross join. So if we simply write left join plus right join, then together they are known as outer join in MySQL. So simply we can say that we have three types of join, called inner join, called outer join, and called the cross join. But in case of outer join, these are the two joins we have, called left join and the right join. So inside the videos of joins, we have seen about the complete details by running our queries to understand clearly about all types of joins in MySQL. So inside this video session guys, if you have any doubt, then please drop your comment. I will get back as soon as possible. So for this video session guys, thank you for watching and have a great day.